Good
Peace. What's
morning.
happening? Dr. Asantewa Sunni-Ali is in the building. What's happening, sis? How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Check this out, man. It's crazy because I'm sitting there. I'm about to pull up your bio and everything because you sent me this beautiful, lovely bio, and all of a sudden my computer freezes. You know what I mean? So I'm
Okay.
gonna freestyle on this, and we're gonna make
That's,
it happen. How's that?
that's
Anyway,
fine. And I want to say thank you for having me. And congratulations on the platform. I've seen a few of your programming. So congratulations and shout out to all of you all, the ear doctor. I know we're going
okay.
to talk a little bit about that in a minute.
Yeah, we can definitely have to talk about how the air doctor in the kitchen because I know he wasn't cooking. Claude had mercy. I wouldn't eat his cooking. You know what I'm saying? I know he had a pizza restaurant, but still. But anyway, yes. So Dr. Asantewa Sunni-Ali, as I mentioned earlier, I've been knowing her for quite a while. Her immediate family, at least, because they have a large family. She is a seed of the revolution in every sense of the word. Her mother was and is someone that I would consider one of my generals. Let me just say that still to this day. And the same with her father, her mother being Fulani Sunni-Ali and her father, Bilal Sunni-Ali, two people who have impacted my organizing, along with the other family members, her brother, Kofi, who we were roommates, and that's a whole nother story. We'll talk about that some other time,
Right.
and his wonderful twin and entire family. But I want to jump in real quick and just say that, first of all, congratulations to you. We are all proud of you as a community because of the fact that we've seen you walk walk this road, and now you're on a whole nother level. For the people who are not familiar with Dr. Asantewa Sunni-Ali, please give us a rundown, a slight history lesson. And I apologize again for not pulling up your bio properly. And I don't want to jack anything up, so I want to hear from you. That's good.
No problem at all. So, good morning to all of the viewers and listeners. You may hear my daughter talking in the background because that's just what it is. So, first of all, that's one of my most important jobs, being the mother of my 3-year-old, Amina Charm, Yewande Fulani. Outside of that, my day job is teaching Pan-African Studies. We actually just became the Department of Africana Studies at Kent State University. So I teach courses on Black experience from the beginnings of time to the present, teach courses on Black images and also Black childhood. In Africana Studies in general, what we do is teach about the experiences, the rich history and culture of people of African descent wherever we are in the world. Outside of that, I also have a research and documentary series, Seedz of Revolution, that I'm repping here. Okay. And I just actually wrapped the first episode in the series. Hopefully we'll have an opportunity to look at the trailer today. If not, we could definitely drop the link in the chat. Yes. But Seedz of Revolution essentially is a celebration and documentation of the tactics and strategies employed by our people wherever we are as we pursue liberation, right? So revolutionary strategies and tactics that we use that we can kind of join together and learn from each other. So essentially the research and documentary series is about documenting that, highlighting it, and celebrating.
No doubt. No, that sounds definitely awesome. And for the viewers, what we're going to do is we're actually going to clip this segment and we're going to include the trailer inside of the clip, so for folks to know. And we're also going to give you the web address and everything as well. We're going to put the link in the chat for sure. Tell us, like, Seedz of Revolution, what's the concept and like what brought it about? I know that you're not only just a professor, I know you're a playwright. I've been to one of your plays that you had, I think, at Georgia State.
Yeah.
You're also a singer. You know what I'm saying? All I know is that I gotta get that. Shout out to Ekadiah. Yeah. And you got jokes too, though. So you know what I'm saying?
Don't let them
fool you. That's the Sunni-Ali way.
Oh yes. There's a lot of discussion about you know, our parents as revolutionaries. But it takes a sense of humor, right, to
Indeed.
navigate, you know, these experiences. So Seedz of Revolution, the concept really is looking at youth, particularly those who are offspring of revolutionary movements like the New African Independence Movement, Black Power movement. And we're once again looking at not only those strategies and tactics that are employed by people like us, but also looking at some of the principles of our upbringing and some of the experiences and how those experiences can be replicable and passed on to new generations of not only Africana people, but other marginalized communities as well.
No doubt. So, I mean, how long did it take you to? I mean, you said you just wrapped up the first segment, and
Yeah.
how many segments you talking about, and
Yeah.
what do we have to look forward to?
Yeah, so it is a series. And so the first episode is called Seedz of Revolution, Growing Up New African. It took about 5 years. So we started at the end of 2016. And we, you know, just kind of pushed through. The first episode includes historians as well as veteran movement builders, as you mentioned earlier. So it has Bachelor of Sunni-Ali, Dr. Akindele Umoja, Watani Tahimba, Mama Tamu, Sana Kanyama, Mama Iya, Kaina Gafor. And so we interviewed these elders, and we also captured interviews with young people. So it's intergenerational, it's an intergenerational dialogue. It also includes a broad kind of history of the New African Independence Movement and the Republic of New Africa. And then we talk about some contemporary iterations of that, not organization, but that government and that movement and the principles of that movement. And so some of those contemporary iterations are current youth spaces like Quilombo Academic and Cultural Institute, which is a K-8 African-centered school. We look at Camp Pumziko, which is a sleepaway survival camp. And we also look at the New African Scouts Organization, which is a youth arm of the Malcolm X grassroots movement, and New African Peoples Organization. And then we also look at Tamu Sana Kanyama Preparatory Academy, which is an African-centered private high school.
No doubt.
And so, yeah, it took about 5 years to pull it together. As we've discussed, a lot of the content is really personal to me. It opens up with a homage to our ancestors, and it closes with a homage to our political prisoners and prisoners of war, and also New Africans that are in exile. And so, you know, along the way, I had to find ways to stay in and stay engaged while not creating too much distance. Because as you know, in academia and the Eurocentric kind of ways of doing research, it's kind of promoted that you distance yourself and you not be too close. But I'm talking about my parents, right? And I'm talking about people who are uncles and aunts. And so it did take, you know, time for me to get through the process, because I wasn't looking at it as a research project, but as an extension of my upbringing, and a telling of those very intimate stories of what it means to be New African.
Man, listen, I got like, it's crazy because and shout out to Mama Tamu as well. We had her on Riot Started TV, I think about a month or so ago. Mm-hmm. But one of the things, like, you know, just being privy to certain information, I think that this project you're doing is awesome, and it's absolutely important and valuable. And I got like a ton of questions, but I'm trying to keep them along line for our viewers. And I think, I mean, first and foremost, you mentioned, you know, just coming out as, you know, an academic, the professor side of things, so on and so forth. You know, how important, or how shall I say, have you been impacted by the legacy of your parents growing up as a seed of revolution, as you say? How important is it to have that grounding when you're dealing with African studies, particularly, you know, in the academic world?
Oh yeah, it's so important. It's my salvation in so many ways, because, you know, as I said, when you are in academia, especially if you're not in Africana studies. So my entire academic career has been at predominantly white institutions.
Wow.
And so, right. And I think even you and I had some of those conversations along the way about
Yes.
some of the frustrations and challenges of that. But what would always fortify me and give me a sense of strength and grounding was, remembering who I was, right? Remembering who I am, remembering whose I am, and even calling on those people who are, from my community who are in academia to just ask, like, how did you do this, in terms of the school side? And then even on the other side of it, how do you make sense of it? How do you, continue to fight the good fight? Because even within Black studies, sometimes, we have to challenge, our universities and the larger institutions. And we're also charged with not only teaching students, but teaching other faculty, right? And teaching community about, our principles and our values and what it means to be human, right? And what it means to create space and allow space for other people to live the fullest expression of their humanity. And so growing up the way that I did, it really gave me the grounding to be able to survive, right, what it is that I've chosen to be a part of. The legacy, is it's beyond words, right? When I think about just what my parents passed on to me. And in so many ways, it's so embedded in who I am that it's second nature, right? So I don't have to necessarily sit and think about, okay, how can I be an activist today?
Right.
It's in my blood, right?
Yeah.
It's embedded in how I move, how I speak, how I make space for other people, how I create community. And so, it's been a blessing. It's also been a privilege to have, parents like mine who were models for what it actually looks like to, embed activism and organizing into your everyday practice. And so having those as models, allowed me to see and to, actually have the tools to be able to embed that in my own daily practice.
For the sake of not sounding sacrilegious, I would
Mhm.
say that you know the word activist with the Sunni-Ali family is I think it's an understatement, and I wouldn't call the Sunni-Ali's activists. I would call them revolutionaries.
Mhm.
And in saying that, and that's not to disrespect activists, but
Mhm.
I can imagine just with your work on campus, the challenges with faculty. I'm quite sure that in many cases that same faculty look like us. Would that be right, or would it just be Europeans as far as like the
Well,
challenges as far as teaching? Or
Well, yeah, it depends. It depends, because in my department and various departments across campus, and even at other institutions that I've been at, you have, those who look like us that are, as they say, all skin kind, are not,
indeed.
family. That's actually not how it goes, but you know what I'm talking
It's
about.
okay. That's how I know. That's how I know we can focus. We're gonna mess up a quote.
Right,
Don't
there
worry
we
about it.
go,
You got it.
exactly. So
They know
yeah,
what we're talking about.
right, all skin folk ain't kin folk. There it is.
Okay, good thing. Good.
So that, and then we also have, what my chair jokingly calls as our blue-eyed soul sisters and brothers.
Okay.
So, it varies, right? So we have challenges. It's really about the ideas. It's not necessarily about the people. It's about the ideas and the practices of equity and diversity and inclusion. But we take on the role as teachers, as professors. We take that role on, like I said earlier, not only as it relates to our students, but to our entire community.
I want you to and usually we have shorter time, but I'm extending this time, and I don't think anyone's gonna have any beef with me doing it. And if they
Okay.
do, we'll just fight behind the scenes. But I want to. You mentioned your parents several times. There's two situations that I would like to touch on, if it's cool, because of the fact that I need people, and this is selfish for me. I need people to understand, um, who your parents are. I mean, it's one thing, you know, everybody loves their parents and everything. And
Mhm.
in some cases, your parent might be a cop, whatever. And they're like, oh yeah, my parent, well, I'm the best dad in the world. But this ain't that. You know, there was a situation in Mississippi that took place when your siblings were younger. And I know that you talked about it in your play. I forgot the name of the play. Forgive me for that.
Our Liberated Justice.
Liberated Justice. Okay, at least I was there. How about that?
You were.
Yeah. So our Liberated Justice, you touched on part of it, a large part of it was the situation that took place in Mississippi. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Sure, sure. So, Our Liberated Justice is a play that chronicles the experiences of my family, um, namely my parents and older siblings, and also extended family members that experienced a pre-dawn raid on their home in 1981. So, this was about 2 years before I was born. I also have a one woman show version of the show called A Political Prisoner in My Mother's Womb, because it actually does extend out to her being pregnant with me in political exile and then having to be released from prison to give birth to me. So that particular play talks about uh, my parents and my family's navigating the FBI's COINTELPRO program and being framed and, like I said, ultimately in prison for crimes that they did not commit. And so the story is a story of not only sharing that story, but a story of triumph, a story about our survival. I didn't mention earlier that along with my parents, my grandfather, Elijah Adegbalola, General Elijah Adegbalola, he was the Minister of Defense for the Republic of New Africa. He was present. And one of the things that he was quoted as saying is that we didn't have any casualties, right? So you had 2 big Army tanks, you had hundreds of police officers who had surrounded this one room shack in Birdtown, Mississippi. And my grandfather was able to, he was a military minded man, right? He was a general in security, and he trained the New African Security Forces. And so he knew how to navigate that experience. And that was one thing that he said, is that we didn't have any casualties as a result of, that raid that happened that morning. But again, that play really chronicles that experience. But most of all, it celebrates the fact that we all survived and we're still surviving.
Ashe. Now, I think it should be noted that he was the only adult male there. Is that correct?
This is correct.
Okay. And it was your
It was
mother,
about
your
13
Fulani.
children. Yeah, it was 13 children total. My mother, her sister Comrade, and Baba Elijah.
And I was told that the feds actually laid in the cow pasture in literally in shit. You know what I'm
Oh,
saying?
yes.
To conduct this raid.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Absolutely.
yeah. So they will be as discomfort. They will deny their own comfort
Right.
to make sure that we're not comfortable.
Absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
so definitely I appreciate you sharing that. Also your father Bilal,
Mm-hmm.
he was he's a renowned musician,
Mm-hmm.
uh, uh, saxophone, flute. They both sing. You know what I mean? But he's also a political prisoner himself. I know he was co-defendant of Marilyn Buck and Dr. Matulu Shakur and others. Can you speak a
Mm-hmm.
little bit about who Baba Bilal is for folks who are late on this particular
Yeah.
train?
Yes, yes, yes. So Baba Bilal, such a rich history. I guess I can start with him being a teenager, a late teen, and being one of the founding members of what he calls the notorious Bronx chapter of the Black Panther Party. Also a member of the Black Liberation Army. As you said, political prisoner. Actually, that's how my parents met. She was writing to political prisoners, and he was one of the people that she wrote to, and they developed a relationship from there and kept in touch. Um, as you said, my father was a member of Gil Scott Heron's Midnight Band. He's known as Spirit of the Midnight Band. My siblings and I joke now about the fact that my father just can't put his phone down. He's always on a Zoom call. He is always engaged in some aspect of the struggle, sharing his knowledge and wisdom and experiences with younger generations. Every time I'm around my dad or even his comrades, I'm learning new information, right, about the things that he's done. But he, also is an ambassador to the UNIA in Belize, Central America, where he resides. Not only is he a musician, plays the sax, flute, harmonica, trumpet, you name it. He's a songwriter, and he also is a music teacher.
No doubt.
He keeps going. He's actually been staying with me for the past week, and I heard him tell someone just yesterday that he's writing 3 books. So stay tuned, for the continuation of his legacy and his story.
Nah, and it's definitely necessary. One other job I want to add to is to the gamut, his list of jobs in career. Even though he's not Jamaican, he got more jobs than all the Jamaicans I know. He's also Absolutely. He's the Amir of the Imam Jamil Defense Committee.
Action Network, yes.
Yes, absolutely. Action Network, you know what I'm saying? So definitely shout out to him and his work. We work together on the international committee to support Imam Jamil Alameen. Mm-hmm. And shout out to Imam Jamil, who turned 78 yesterday. Imam Jamil Alameen, formerly H. Rap Brown. So Dr. Asantewa Sunni-Ali. Yeah. It's funny me calling you doctor, and I knew you before the babies and all that. So when you said my daughter gonna be running, I'm like, I forgot she got a baby. Forgot about all this stuff. So that's
yes.
What what is the website for folks to check out so that they can be in tune?
So I'm on social media, Facebook and Instagram. Also seedsofrevolution.com. So if you go to seedsofrevolution.com, you'll be able to read kind of a full narrative about the scope of the research, as well as the documentary series. Again, you can look at the trailer, and you can also shop. You can purchase buttons like this. I have hoodies just in time for hoodie season. We have stickers. All of the proceeds from your purchases go directly towards the project, go towards the research and documentary project. So check us out on either one of those platforms.
No doubt. We want to thank you for joining us. Looking forward to having you back. Definitely get a love to the family. Go to Seedz of Revolution, seedsofrevolution.com or Seedz of the Revolution.
And let me make one correction. It's with a Z. So SEEDZ.
Okay. We'll correct that. That's not a problem. So
yes.
Let's do that right now before I get jumped by the whole Sunni-Ali clan. Like, you ain't mentioning such and such. Shout out to my sister who changed the name.
Princess Medaya.
Yes. Princess Medaya. I had to get it right because I ain't want no problems. Because I know about the old names, so we know how she do. So anyway, yeah, no doubt. Shout out to our great sister and my man Shakur, Commander Shakur out there, wherever you at. You know what I mean? Salute to you as well. But definitely keep up the solid work. Again, not for nothing, we're absolutely proud of you, and we're absolutely grateful that you're continuing this legacy. And I see a lot of people comparing folks in the chat. Man, I'm gonna say this publicly: the Sunni-Ali clan is incomparable. Please understand that. You know what I mean? And the legacy goes a little bit deeper. And I want folks to go back to. I did an interview with your father some years ago on Tupac and the Revolutionary Shakur clan.
Yes.
Yeah. So make sure y'all Google that, because of the fact that he breaks down, and we didn't even get into the lineage of the Shakur clan.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? That it's just so much that we can get back to. But
Absolutely.
I'm looking forward to.
And can I share 2 things?
Please do.
In terms of the Shakur clan and that lineage, my sister actually is dropping a book called A Light on the Hill, and it's reflections on the life and legacy of Tupac Amaru Shakur. And it talks a bit about some of the things that I've discussed today in terms of him being a seed of revolution, and sharing not only his artistry, but his revolutionary practices and principles with the world. And then also, if you're interested in more about my mom, I actually wrote an entry on her life and lived experiences in the Black Power Encyclopedia that you can also find on Amazon. It's edited by Dr. Akanyele Umoja and Jasmine Young. So there's a wealth of more information. Thank you for having me. Thank you all for watching. And
two things before you go. One
mm-hmm.
thing you said, your sister, the book. Please let her know I want to bring her on the show. So please
Absolutely.
pass my info to her.
Yes.
And also
Obafemi.
Yes. Definitely shout out to Aisha and all her work on the music side as well. Mm-hmm. And your brother Shaka. So I want to this last question, the ear doctor, the people want to know. Y'all working in the kitchen. Was y'all flipping pies? Was
popping? Wait a minute now. So wait a minute. So
I need to know.
Come back on to talk about this J Electronica piece because I don't remember J Electronica being in the kitchen.
Yeah, yo, that's what Soul Messiah was saying. I didn't know the dude was in the kitchen either. And he was like,
okay. So he was definitely incognito because I didn't peep it.
I know, right? That was crazy to me too. So, but I just want to know this right here.
Hey.
All right.
She's on.
Y'all know nothing about that.
They don't know nothing about it. We got to drop that in the link too.
We worked at Domi Abra, Vegan Kitchen. Shout out to Ross Lumumba. We were in there making rotis, and he's from Trinidad, so it was a Caribbean flavor or take on vegan food. So I learned a lot in that process. We had a lot of good laughs in that kitchen.
Oh yeah, Kofi was in there. Big up to Prince.
Yes.
Oh man.
Wait, which Kofi? You talking about Ross Kofi?
Our brother Kofi.
No, Shakur.
Oh, okay. They let him in there too. It's all over.
Oh,
let you go.
Ayana worked in there.
Ayana. We was all up in that piece.
Lumumba's children. So
they let Ayana work there too. I'm gone.
Don't do that.
Hey, that food was banging. And big up to Ross, because if it wasn't for working in that restaurant, I wouldn't have known how to run my own restaurant. So
thank you.
It was a beautiful thing.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, that was my first job. And also another plug, my husband and I do a vegan meal prep service. And so it helped me for that too. So if you want to check that out, go to Ishanti Gold on Instagram or Facebook.
And the song was banging. So yeah.
And the song was banging.
Yes, indeed. Anyway, we're going to catch you on the next round. Love and appreciation. Stay on point. And we'll see you soon. This is the Remix Morning Show. We live. This was Dr. Asantewa Sunni-Ali. And we'll be back at you in a few ticks. You know what we do around here. Black out.
Our people were struggling. And there were organizations popping up from everywhere, trying to figure out how to create a better life for us. Many of us began to try and get into the system more and trying to force our way in. And then, of course, there were those who had given up on integration because we felt had failed us. It was a matter of trying to do things that would allow us total freedom and independence, being able to create for ourselves, be able to manage ourselves, because we felt that we had the ability to do it and we had that right.
All power to the people.
All power to the people.
Now call your natural ancestry. Mama and Jerry. Ashe.
You know,
Madam
you
CJ
grew up
Walker.
African if you had teachers that taught you the history of your culture.
WD will.
Yes, W.E.B. Du Bois. Very good, Zaire.
Prince. Ashe.
You know you knew African when you realized later in life that you grew up around historic figures and you just thought they was other people?
Yeah. We are the Scouts. The nation building Scouts.
New Africa was to identify us as culturally and politically as a new African nation, a black nation colonized within U.S. borders.
You know you're New African if you've ever had to African dance at a wedding, funeral, birthday, blessing way, anything.
We're gonna build a nation, a beautiful nation, a black nation in this desolate place. So look out and do it.
The Black Governmental Conference, they call for 5 states to be the national territory of black people. The original name they proposed was the Republic of New Songhai, but it was Queen Mother Moore who said to call it the Republic of New Africa.
We were, a righteous people, as we always said, with a righteous cause, and our cause was to create a better life, in fact, a government for ourselves.